So I'm back in Lanzarote. Myself and Neve went home and we got married, and that's all done. Got a silicone wedding ring and everything. So, but anyway, so I didn't do much of an update when I was in the yard. With zooming in a bit here. When I pulled the boat, we're here in the Rubicon Marina. Sorry for the background noise. We pulled her out, and one of the big things I noticed was the cutlass bearing was pretty worn out. So I pulled the shaft to inspect it, and it's really badly worn. I'm not sure why. I think it was some kind of growth or something in the cutlass bearing, but that's fecked. So when I was home, I ordered a new shaft and hand carried it down on the plane. And Darglo Engineering, that make the propellers, made me this shaft for a very reasonable price. So I'm in the process of fitting the cutlass bearing in the new shaft. They obviously made it overlong for me, so I can cut it to the length I want. I asked them for 4 inches longer. This isn't all the way in yet, obviously. And I'm very happy. We also changed the nut to a right-hand thread, because the other nut was a left-hand thread. So if anything ever happens to this nut, I can order one easy enough. And new, what's that thing called again? Woodruff key, and obviously a new, beautiful new shaft. I have a feeling that this shaft is a inferior stainless as well. It's kind of, I don't know. My mate has one as well, made by the same guy, and it's all pitted, and that shouldn't happen. So yeah. Anyway, this one was made by a fella in a shed, and that was made by a professional engineering company. So see how this one goes. But anyway, we're going to crack on, get this in, and I'll show you what it's like when it's all fitted and the prop is polished and back in place, and then we can put the rotor back on. So I have the old shaft here and the new shaft here. The old shaft, the thread is slightly longer, so I've matched them up on the shoulder here. I'm not going to cut this off the length of this. What I've done is I've marked, you can see here, I've marked with the R&D coupler in place and without the R&D coupler in place. Because to align the shaft to the engine, you need to take the R&D coupler out. So I want to make sure I have enough room with the prop on to slide it all the way forward. It's not the end of the world if I don't. It's just something I want to see. This is the one. This is the mark I really need to work off. And then this is where the coupler is, and I've got this much over length here. But I think I'm going to cut. I think I'm going to cut here. This is the process I'm using. I'm just got a few marks. And I probably need to cut a little bit less than this much off, which is around that much there. So I'll just make a measurement, check my measurement 2 or 3 times, and then cut it. And hopefully it'll either be too long or right. We'll see what happens when I put it back in. Say hi. So Neve is back with me. We've got a really nice fancy stairs. As demonstrated. It makes everything a lot easier. Going up and down the ladder is horrible. We're getting too old for that shit now. So we have the rudder back on. I actually serviced, so it's very easy to move. That's even moving all of the steering cables as well. I'm going to change this as well. So I cleaned the bearing and oiled or greased it. I greased the top bearing inside. This all came off very easy. That's back on perfectly. The prop is on. The new shaft is in. So there's a new shaft and everything is pretty cool. New prop nut, as we saw earlier. And the prop's on. The engine's aligned. Everything is back together nicely. So it seems pretty good now. That's with the cutlass is dry now, so it'll probably add a bit of friction, but that seems pretty good. Yeah, pretty happy with it. A bit of a painful process when we didn't expect to do it, but at least it's done now. And hopefully won't have to worry about that for another few years. At least the cutlass bearing. It's all brand new. I reduced the overhang as well. There was quite a lot of overhang. It should be under 1 shaft width, and it was like, the shaft is 30mm. It was the 37mm overhang, so it was a bit too much. The monitor as well, I serviced that in Ibiza. That's all pretty much new, apart from looking a bit shoddy. All the bearings are new, it's been taken off and serviced. And so the next step will be sand out a little bit of this and do the anti-fouling. Seajet sponsored us, a company in Holland. So I'll be doing an anti-fouling review for them. Yeah, so hopefully there's Neve. Yeah, we'll be doing the anti-fouling soon and get going and head to the Caribbean. So I'm sanding, got my hoover, got a sander somewhere as well. I've raised the waterline as well, so the waterline was way too low and actually was high on the front, so I've tapered it from the front up to the back just to try and fix it, and I had to give it a bit of an abrasion. So Seajet asked me to sand the boat in preparation for the Seajet. I think it's 038 is what they sent me, in black. So I'm giving this a light sand. I'm not going to go crazy because it's I don't want to go through the paint, but I am scuffing the blue up to the waterline, and I'll use a primer, anti-fouling primer on that, so that the paint sticks. So that's the plan. I'll do a bit more sanding, and then when the anti-fouling is here, we'll put that on and I'll let you know what it's like, and we'll go from there. So for now I'm just going to sand, and this should come up nice and fresh. So I've given the boat good sanding, raised the waterline as well. So raised the waterline about 2 inches most of the way around. It was a little bit high on the front already, so I've tapered it back and then gone to a full 2 inches all the way to the back then. Patched up a few areas that kind of needed it as well, just with kind of like an anti-foul primer. And then this guy's all sanded, ready to go. I don't know what the green part is. That was the old anti-fouling. Maybe there was some copper or something in it. I don't know. But yeah, so get the anti-fouling on next, and then we're pretty much ready to go in the water. Prop's done. I think I showed you the prop. Prop is done. Anode is on. The rudder. Beautiful prop from Daglo. They've always been super helpful. New cutlass bearing. Few areas patched up. Leading edge of the rudder. New anode. I really hope this is the last time we haul out for a couple of years, so I want to do a really thorough job. Tiny little bit more sanding to do on this side, actually, now that I think of it. You see I raised the waterline up here as well. You can see that there's a little bit of rust streaking down from there, so I've got a job there to do. Monitor, since I rebuilt it, has been unreal. I think I showed you that already. Lovely and smooth. Yeah, so let's get the paint on next. We'll finish raising the waterline with a little bit more primer, get the paint on, and see what's left to do. Here's the anti-fouling. Zoom in. So this has been a real pain in the ass to get, not because of the company that sent it, Seajet. So here's you see, copper-free polishing, self-polishing anti-fouling. 038 I think is the code. So 15 litres of it, so I really appreciate Seajet sending that to us, and we're gonna see how good it is. So I got up early this morning, rented a car and drove up to La Graciosa, which is on the north side of the island where I was last week, or last month. Basically we couldn't get this delivered to Lanzarote because they don't have a distributor here, and I had to get it delivered to Spain. So my friends were in La Linea, where I was before, and they were coming down here. And they were going to come down like a week after me. But what happened was, the week I left, I had a really good weather forecast, and after that, for almost a month, there was no wind whatsoever. So I've only just got it now, and I drove up to collect it because they wanted to stay up there for a week and I didn't want to rush them. So we have it now. I'm going to mix it properly, even though it's been bouncing around in a boat for the last month. I'm going to mix it up with this on a drill, and then I'm going to start painting the leading edges, and I'll do a time lapse of that. All the leading edges are the parts of the water, the front edges of things, like the front of the keel, front of the boat, front of the rudder, any kind of high wear areas, like on the welds. I'm going to give them one coat first, and then I'm going to go back over and start painting it all on. I have 15 litres of the stuff, so I have more than enough. So yeah, hopefully this is our last stint in the boatyard for a while, because we're both absolutely sick of it. I don't know, we've been pretty unlucky this year. This is our third haul out this year. First one was because the carpenter in Portimao was a disaster. It's a long story. And the second time was my stern tube actually almost fell out. These bolts here backed out and the whole stern tube fell back about 0.5 millimeter, and it was just enough to let in a dribble of water, and it was just driving me mental. So we pulled out for a week. I had to take that out, reseal it, which meant I had to redo the engine alignment. I noticed that the seal was fecked as well, so I changed that. So it's been a pretty painful year of fixing stuff. So what we'll do is we'll get the coat around the top and all the leading edges, and then we'll go on to coating the whole thing, and I'll do a time lapse and stop boring you with my voice. So we have one side coated. Just have to go around the anodes by hand. What's the verdict?
Oh, very good.
Easy to put on, isn't it?
Yeah, it rolls on really well.
So it rolls on nicely. It's actually, it's not that watery. It's not too thick and it's not too watery. So one coat on. Just need to tidy up the edges and do bits and bobs with the paintbrush. It's always nice to put the anti-fouling on because you know that means launch. So around the other side, need to tape the waterline and do it again. One coat, and we've just used about half of the anti-fouling, maybe a little more. So we've used 1.5 tins. So that's good. That means we can get a good solid one more solid coat, maybe even a little bit more than one coat, because second coat always uses less. Looks pretty good, looks nice and smooth. Gave her a nice sand all over. Neve has cut the anodes in with a paintbrush, and she's looking really good. So hopefully that'll give us a bit of speed across the Atlantic. Very nice. Thanks again, CJ. This is great. So fast forward to the morning and we're in the crane. I'm just doing the little patches where the blocks were for the supports, and we're ready to go. There's 2 coats of C-Jet on there, really easy to put on. There's nothing really I can report about the application. It was grand, it was, it was nice, it was easy, it wasn't difficult. A bit of a patch here, nice. So we'll see how it is in maybe a year's time, or check on it every couple of months, see how it is. We'll do a dive on it, and I'll keep you updated on what I think of it, because anyone following the Golden Globe race at the moment knows about the barnacle issues they're having. So it'd be interesting to see. We're kind of going into, mid-Atlantic now, where they were when they were reporting the first problems, so it'd be interesting to see. And yeah, so let's get back in the water and go anchor and go swimming and be sailors again. So she's about to go in. I hate this bit because, sorry, there's a bit of a backlight, but I hate this bit because it tells me whether I did the job right or wrong. It's like my least favourite part for sure. So we'll go in, test the prop, back and forth, test the engine, make sure everything works and doesn't leak, and then either go to anchor or see if the marina has a berth for the night, just to see how we get on. Lovely. That's it for this episode. I've got an up and coming transatlantic video as well, and as you can see we're actually in the Caribbean now. Crossing went very well, but I'll let the next video speak to that. Sorry it's taken so long to get this one out. I was busy crossing the Atlantic and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll sign off on this one. Thanks again to C-Jet for sponsoring this video and for getting the bum of this boat all clean. We made good time on the way across, and I think it was, a big part of it was having a clean bottom. So hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.